We talk in hockey about speculation. This is not speculation. A lot of us believe this guy was the best backup goalie of the 1980s in the NHL. He's got statistics to prove it. He backed up Mario Lazard in LA, backed up some of the best goalies in Boston in the mid to late 1980s, and proved that he could also win in the playoffs when counted upon. So today we're going to be talking about the pride of Pembroke, Ontario, the very talented Doug Keans. Now 5'8", 183, Doug wasn't the biggest goalie in the history of the NHL, but he was very good glove hand, good style on the ice, could make the big save when required. Now as a youth, he played in the 1970 and 71 Quebec International Pee Wee Hockey Tournaments with a minor hockey squad from Barrie. Now, following a solid junior career with the Oshawa Generals, where he played 90 games over 2 seasons. He was eventually drafted in 1978 and was sent by the Kings to the Saginaw Gears of the IHL. Now, LA took a late round chance on him, 94th overall, and that paid off in 1980, where he played 10 games with a solid 3-3-3 record with a 2.48 average. Now, for the next 2 seasons, he shifted between the AHL, IHL, and CHL back to the Kings in 81, and then 82 he served primarily as his first stint as a backup, mostly Lazard, with an 8-10-7 record. Now, he also played in the Haven that year. 83, he found himself out of the Kings' backup position, found himself with Boston. He tried to establish himself as one of a key backup that the Kings could rely on, but he was eventually released, and Boston took him on waivers prior to the 84 season to back up then main starter Pete Peters. Now in Boston, he would become a very, very consistent player as a backup, established himself as one of the better number 2s in the NHL. Now in the first season as a Bruin, he posted Brian Hayward-style numbers at 1983 with 3.1 goals against average, as well as his first 2 career shutouts. Now, while Boston cycled through starting goalies during the mid-1980s, Keans was a fixture as the backup, routinely outplaying the starter. He would spend 5 total seasons in Boston, backing up Peters, Pat Riggin, Bill Ranford, and Regin Lemelin. Now, during this period, he never won less than 14 games in a season, never finished with a record below 500, and compiled it with a stellar overall 84, 46, and 13 record. Now, his size was a factor. A lot of number 1s have to be bigger than 5'7", 5'8", 185. Now, at the trade deadline at the end of the 88 season, Boston would acquire starter netminder Andy Moog from the Edmonton Oilers. Lemelin was pushed to the backup, and Keans was relegated to a number 3 position and unfortunately sent to the minors. He would spend several more years in the minors before retiring, although he would come out of retirement for 2 brief stints in second-level minor pro during the 1990s. Overall, NHL record 96, 64, and 26 with a 3.50 goals against average and 210 career appearances, along with, of course, as mentioned, those 4 shutouts. Now, the Springfield Indians, this is a key season as well. His last full season in minor pro put up some really, really good numbers. In Springfield, there was some opportunity for him to play in Europe, but he decided to stay with the North American game, playing with the Minnesota Ice Rangers of the AHA in 93, as well as the Jacksonville Bullets of the SUHL, and again the Bullets again of his SHL in 96. So, and what really stands out about Keans as well, you look at the record we're saying about how consistent he was. Over those 5 seasons, 19, 16, 14, 18, and 16 wins. Never had more than 6 losses in a season. Winning percentage was quite strong, between 60 and 80%. But the save percentage really stands out. 88.4, 87, 86.3, 88, and 88. As consistent as you're going to find as a backup. And like I said, only maybe Brian Hayward of that era could really rival Mr. Keans. And I've heard this through many people. Very good with the fans, very good with the alumni for the Bruins. And something, you look back at the not say the failures of the Bruins and not winning Stanley Cup in the 1980s, giving Keans a second chance to come out of the mire that was the LA Kings goaltending ranks. And he means a lot to Boston fans because you're only good as your backup. And when they made the Stanley Cup, playoff runs in the 1980s into the 90s, he was a key factor. So well done, Mr. Keans. So if you like what we're doing here with our Vintage NHL podcast, give us a like, comment, or subscribe. Requests are also are always encouraged. And just as mentioned previously, our good friend Bo Shees from Woodstock, New Brunswick, made a request for Doug. Thank you, Bo. Bo is a litany of great requests because he reflects the good followers of the channel. People old enough to remember these players, but young enough to say, hey, maybe if we celebrate them, someone will be inspired to play like somebody like Doug Keans. If you're just a backup, doesn't mean you don't play a factor. You're ready to go at any time. It's not like a backup quarterback in football, unless, of course, you're the Dolphins of the 1980s. Anyway, thanks for listening. Bye.